Hello everyone. This exercise is it's in the tips and techniques for chapter 7 on page 225. This details the beginning, during, end event that you will need to know to do the old time rock and roll exercise. That is one of our assignments for this chapter. I thought it would be a good thing to do so that if you're having trouble with it, which a lot of people have trouble with this type of exercise, that you could actually get an idea of how you can do it. So let's get started. I've already got the world set up. You have an island, you have a rabbit, and a helicopter. Use your quad view to situate your helicopter so that it can circle the island and look realistic. So we're going to create a BDE event. So this is not going to be a method or a function. This is going to be an event. So events are handled here in the event window. So let's click create new event, and we're going to pick while something is true. And the reason we're going to do that is what we're going to do is have it set when the helicopter is in front of the rabbit. We're going to have the rabbit turn his head to look at the helicopter. And then while the helicopter is still in front of him, he will continue to look at the helicopter. And then finally, once the helicopter is no longer in his visual range, we will have the rabbit turn to look at the camera. And so that's why we have it set to is true, while an event is true, while the helicopter is in front of the rabbit is true, then do all of this stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to pick the rabbit and his head. We're not going to turn the entire rabbit. We just want his head to look. All right, so let's go to functions. So we need to access some of the functions to be able to access. So we want the when the rabbit, or I'm sorry, let's pick the helicopter. My bad. We need to do the helicopter first for this part of the event. So it's while the helicopter is in front of the rabbit. So while the helicopter, and scroll down in the functions to the spatial relations section and pick helicopter is in front of. So while the helicopter is in front of the white rabbit, while that is true, then we're going to do this. Beginning, we need to go to the rabbit's head, and then instead of turn, we're going to use the point. This is a method, it's not a function. So go back to the methods, and we're going to have his head point at. I know that turn to makes more sense. You think it might make more sense, but point at that works right. And we want it to point at the helicopter, the entire helicopter. So when the helicopter gets in front of the white rabbit, at the beginning of our loop, the white rabbit will point his head at the helicopter. Now during the event, it's not good enough to just have his head point at the helicopter, because once he points at it, that's it. He doesn't continue moving his head, because since the helicopter is moving, continuing to move forward, his head will no longer be looking at it. So what we need to do is pick here at the bottom of our methods, there's a constraint to face and a constraint to point at. We want the head to constrain or constraint to point at the helicopter. So this means during the event, the white rabbit's head will be constrained to point at the helicopter. It basically means it will follow the helicopter as it moves around. And then finally, when it is no longer in visual range, we want the white rabbit to turn his head to the camera. So you'll stop looking at the helicopter and then look at the camera. So it'll be the same as the begin method, but instead of point at helicopter, it will be point at camera. All right, so we've got the BDE event set. So the helicopter gets in front of the rabbit, the white rabbit's head turns to look at it, it continues to look at it and while it's in visual range, and finally when it moves out of visual range, the white rabbit's head points at the camera. All right, so let's go ahead and set up what we got to do for the helicopter to move around the island. Let's pick the helicopter. There is a heli blade method already that turns both the top rotor and the tail rotor. So what we need to do is we need to turn the helicopter, and we're going to turn right, and we're going to do 10. I'm going to do 10 revolutions, and we're going to set it to duration of 80 seconds and style of abruptly and as seen by the island. If you remember from your circling fish exercise from chapter 2, by setting it to as seen by island, that will make the helicopter go around the island. Okay, so we've got that set, and if we put the Healy blade in, that will do it together. But what will happen if we do that? Well, first I got to move it in the wrong way. So instead of turn right, we want it to be turn left. All right, so it's moving forward. Hey, the rabbit's head is doing what it's supposed to do. Once it gets in range, he turns to look at it, and he follows it around. And then it exits his visual range, he looks at the camera. But the helicopter's blade is not turning, and that's because why? Well, I don't have it together. I need to have those together. So there's our helicopter. It's moving around. Its blades are going. When it gets in visual range of the rabbit, he turns his head to look at it. He continues to look at it, and once it exits visual range, he looks at the camera. And there you have it. That is all that's necessary for a BDE event. I hope this helps. Thanks.